Salud, amigos, tripulantes de nuestra
Welcome, dear friends, crew members of our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft, which, since the last time we met, has taken 3 turns around its imaginary axis. And of course, it continues developing events in full development. Events that sadly confirm our less optimistic analysis about the changes, particularly in East-West relationships, ever since the president of the White House came with all his ideas. Remember I told you, this guy is a billionaire. We all know that. He's a billionaire. But he's also is a general, an owner of companies, the one who signs checks and is just accustomed for everyone to tell him, yes, sir. But what's behind this person, together with having the best advisors, having his campaign, and getting all the best programs to get to the White House, which was the only thing he was missing, now he wants to be the commander-in-chief, someone who didn't even carry out the military service, or no one knows where he did it. But whatever the case, now there's a ping-pong between the East and the West side, just like in the Cold War. However, the maneuvering margins are now way smaller. They've been reduced, and we need to acknowledge who's on the other side. Trump. Just Trump means a potential for problems, and he's just starting. He's a narcissistic. People have studied his profile from top to bottom. This is what intel services usually do. And events in full development will now tell us that the worst hypotheses that we had for the analysis are now being proved right. Now, what are the events in full development today? Pay attention, and you'll see a bit of the current reality. What's happening right now? Well, the United States expelled dozens of Russian diplomats due to Skripal case. Why do we have this game? Well, there's this ping-pong, and we don't know when it's going to end. And they have the full right to expel them. But take a look at the kickoff, where it's starting. You can see the cars parked outside, you can see Russian flags, you can see the cameras, mission of the Russian Federation against the United Nations. And what's happening is that the United States today is expelling 60 Russian diplomats that together with the whole of Europe will take measures against the Kremlin due to the attack of a Russian spy in Great Britain, which was blamed on Moscow. Well, there were chemical elements used that were only in the hands of the Russians. These are the events in full development, and in development, and whoever may want to know, the word or the phrase in full development was coined by myself, yours truly. This is the harsher action taken by Donald Trump against Russia ever since he started being in office. And today, 60 Russian diplomats are joining the government of the whole Europe to take measures against the Kremlin for an attack against a former Russian spy in Great Britain that was blamed on Moscow. The staff expelled by the United States included 12 intel officials in the United Nations headquarters in New York. You can see the flags. And Trump ordered to close the Russian consulate in Seattle. Moscow denied the accusations of what happened on March 4th. Expel intoxication that used the Soviet agent Novikov is the first offensive use ever known with the nervous toxin after World War II, Skripal 66. and his daughter, 33 Julia, were found unconscious in a public bank in a mall, and they are still in the hospital in critical status. And Trump orders 60 Russians to be expelled after the attacks with nervous gas in the United Kingdom. This is outside the embassy of Russia. You can see the windows, you can see the flags flying low, and President Donald Trump ordered for 60 Russians to be expelled from the United States and also close the consulate of Russia in Seattle, as stated by spokespeople from the United States government. This is the harsher action made by Trump, and this is the attempt of Russia to attack the former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter with an army-type nervous agent. Both were found in the floor in Salisbury, England, and they are both in critical state at the hospital. The Russian government state, when you attack our friends, you'll face grave consequences, as stated by the press, by someone spoken anonymously against the Russian government from the United States. Moscow denied any responsibility and had already taken the decision to act against Britain due to the 23 members from Great Britain asking for the same thing to be done in Russia. This was the first use of a nervous toxin in Europe ever since World War II. Member states of the EU agreed on Friday to take additional measures against Russia, France, Netherlands, Poland, Estonia, Latvia, that announced the expelling of Russian members out of their countries. James Mathis, together with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Indonesia, Retno Marsudi, stated, answering a journalist, "We are together with allies who believe in the state of law based on rules. I know that North Korea used a mass destruction weapon in some place or in a different country, and we are against mass destruction weapons, particularly when there's violation of treaties, particularly when they violate treaties." Thank you very much. Further on, the ambassador of Russia against the United Nations criticized the actions from the United States to expel 60 diplomats, 12 of them who were members of the United Nations. Here, this is an important visit in regards to the Pentagon and some other sensitive area. This is the ambassador of Russia for the United Nations, who stated that in the meantime, well, here you can see a lot of honor. Why? Because this is a strategic ally from the Far East. This honor guard is very important, even though it's very simple. It's not always seen in the Pentagon.
Not with the cameras on my window, like they did by the mission.
Ambassador, could you give us your reaction to the U.S. moves today?
That's a very unfortunate and very unfriendly move. We were informed.
Unfortunate and unfriendly move. We were told that 12 of our diplomats were expelled and they have to leave the country until April 2. And then he added, "I am sorry, what was the question?" And the journalist asked, "The 12 diplomats, they're leaving. Are they leaving already?" "No, we're not talking about them. We safeguard their security." And Nikki Haley, ambassador of the United States for the United Nations, also came to the door, and the ambassador of the United States for the UN in Halle was also interviewed. She stated, "I want to state that now you're seeing a move of unfair judgment by Russia, and when we see these espionage tactics that take place in the core of the United Nations, we cannot stay with our arms crossed." Here, this is the ambassador, Nikki Haley, of the United States against the UN.
Move of bad judgment by Russia. And when we see these espionage tactics that are taking place right here at the heart of
Espionage is taking place in the heart of the UN is something we cannot accept. And it's not only us, many countries for all these moves are acting upon. This is what we do everywhere else, and I cannot accept these unfortunate events carried out by Russia. They're responsible for many things, and they have to make a decision. This is what she stated. Ambassador of Russia for the United Nations deemed the decision of the state of expelling 60 people as unfortunate and unfriendly. You can see all security measures here. The Embassy of the USA, that's the building with flags of the USA, people near the embassy. Here we're talking about Moscow. And this businessman, Artyom, states, they will need to defeat us in every front, and they take every opportunity, most of them unfair, and they're forcing all recent options. I am amazed about what the United States, specifically what the representatives are doing and stating their actions are wrong.
Официальных ее представителей. Собственно, неправильные действия. Такие вещи пошли уже, что...
Alexis states, we're playing this way, and no one can understand who's right or wrong, but the whole world is against us, and nothing good could come out of this. We are guilty, but they're also guilty, and everyone's wrong. Tatiana, Moscow resident, says, I think they're leading us to war. There's nothing good about this. I don't like any of what's happening. They had to sit down at the negotiations table and solve this, because we don't want war. We want peace. I don't understand what's happening. Well, Russians have shown their disappointment about the latest events due to decisions of the Western government to expel their diplomats and also poisoning a former double agent in Great Britain. In the Kremlin, the proposal of expelling diplomats will be discussed. In the meantime, Russia is against the accusation of Great Britain for being involved in the attack and stated on Monday that they will provide the appropriate response. You can see the beautiful Chancellery of Russia. It's a beautiful, amazing, big building, and it's even more impressive when you look from the bottom. The architecture is back from that age. It's a sinister, dark touch of art given to the building. And the businessman Artyom said, we need to defeat ourselves in two different fronts. This is what they want, and they take advantage of every opportunity, fair or unfair. But most of them are unfair, and they're forcing every option, and I am amazed of what the United States are doing, specifically with their official representatives and with their actions, which are completely wrong.
Соединенные Штаты Америки, они рушат то небольшое, что еще осталось в российско-американских отношениях.
Ambassador of Russia for the United States. What USA is doing today is destroying the little that was left of Russia-United States relationship, and all the responsibility is in the hands of the United States of North America. The beautiful cathedral, the Kremlin Tower, this is the cathedral in Moscow, spectacular. The spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, states, well, there's just a picture of him. The main analysis will be carried out in the Foreign Affairs Minister, and then suggestions will be provided to the President about measures to be taken. The final decision will be in charge of the Prime Minister of Russia. We can also hear the audio as well as see the picture of the person, Dmitry Peskov. We are sad about decisions made by the United States. Case Skripal will be a reason they will use. We've said before and we repeat, Russia has nothing to do with this case. Well, the walls of the Kremlin, Russia condemns the decision of expelling the diplomats due to the double agent poisoning. Here, Putin holding talks with the representative of Qatar, Vladimir Putin, with bin Hamad al-Thani from Qatar. President of Russia, in these bilateral talks, stated the following. Let me welcome you to Moscow. Of course, he waits for translation to take place. We met many years ago, but the relationships of our country happen every day, and we are permanently connected with you. President Putin held talks with Tamim bin al-Thani from Qatar, while the governments of other states, including the United States, stated they were going to expel diplomats from Russia. Whatever the case may be, the situation becomes tougher. The United States will expel, as we have stated before, 60 diplomats from Russia that join the rest of governments of Europe due to the attacks against the double agent in Great Britain. Germany, 4 diplomats from Russia, as stated by the Foreign Minister. Smoke from the commercial center from the mall and emergency centers. This is Kemerovo. At least 46 people were killed due to a fire in the Siberian city of Kemerovo. You can see closed windows where people are asking for help, firefighters fighting the flames. This is not a good omen. Whenever we see black smoke, you can see windows that are not longer of use for anything. There was a boat abandoned in the snow behind the police. People outside the blood bank that was also affected by the fire. Young women giving blood. Many people as well went there to voluntarily give blood. Understand there could be many victims after this fire. Local resident Oscar Vashinseva said the following: I am extremely surprised about the events. Never before something of this size had ever happened in Kemerovo. Never. This is the first time that we face a situation as this. I am very sad about the people and the children who were inside. This is extremely sad. There are no words to describe the pain that this brings us. And here, people are queuing up to give blood, doing so voluntarily. A local resident, not identified, said, "This is terrible. This is a real nightmare. We're all giving blood, which is the first thing we can do. Today had such a terrible night when I woke up to this news, and we're all praying for the victims." You can see all these years of dialectic materialism that have not been able to defy the Christian faith of the Russian people. Vladimir Puigdemont, chief of emergency in Russia, also stated that the hardest areas for us are the 2 cinemas that collapsed because the structures fell completely from the 3rd story down. Now, little by little, we still look for ways to collaborate and leave this terrible situation behind. People are still giving blood, massively trying to provide aid. 46 people were killed due to a fire that took place in a very popular mall in Kemerovo, Siberia. This is what was stated by Russian investigators. Some of the people dead were children, sadly. It's been one of the worst fires in Russia ever since the Soviet Union disintegrated. It completely destroyed the shopping mall. Sunday evening, in an area, a lot of people were put together, and that's why so many children died. Emergency services stated that the fire had extinguished, but then it reactivated, and that rescuers were trying to get to the higher floors of the building because the ceiling had collapsed. This is the image of the rescue services. It stated what was the situation of tension. Leaders of the UE received Turkish President Erdogan in a very uncomfortable summit in Bulgaria. Donald Tusk, President of the European Council, Prime Minister of Bulgaria, Vyoko Borisov, say hello. Milton President Borisov saluting. You can see the flags of Turkey, the UE, and Bulgaria. Erdogan in the following takes will be leaving a plane. He is granted honors. Then the mayor of Berna, Ivan Pornios, welcomes Erdogan and other workers from Bulgaria. The European Union held a very uncomfortable summit in Bulgaria on Monday, when they will provide money for a treaty with the Syrian refugees from Ankara, but they deviate the deeper problems with the visa in Europe. He doesn't seem to please Erdogan. Bulgaria, where the summit took place, stated that Varna in the Black Sea was the most important place for dialogue with a country that still wants to be part of the European Union after years of stalled talks. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, wants to get rid of this. France and Israel talk about Syria and Iran. Convoy outside the residence from Reuven Rivlin, President, Mr. of Foreign Affairs from France, Jean-Yves Le Drian. They're both in the room. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs states, "You spoke about the attempt of hegemony from Iran as well as instability in Syria. This tragedy will end, but there's questions about stability in Lebanon. So wrapping up, there's a lot to debate about, but we both want to find a path for peace and security." I would like to share my compassion after the announcement of the killing of an 80-year Jew in Paris. We don't know why. There is an ongoing research for this, but this seems to be a murder due to given motivation, and this has to be researched till we reach a conclusion. I am very shocked because he was a survivor of the Holocaust. What I learned when living in Bad Yassem, a coincidence of the encounter which was very moving. It's okay to see that Israel is providing support to terrorism, but terrorism cannot be accepted by the world, specifically a world where France is one of the leaders. Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian visits Yad Vashem Museum. It's the Holocaust Memorial from Israel. You can see pictures of the victims of the Holocaust while the minister is looking. I was there, and let me tell you that it's really impressive. It really makes you shiver. Minister of Foreign Affairs Jean-Yves Le Drian met this Monday with Robert Ridley from Israel in Jerusalem. Both of them spoke about regional topics that range from Iran to Syria. Le Drian as well spoke about the investigation of the murder of a Holocaust survivor that was found burned in his apartment in Paris. Surviving the Holocaust and dying like that in Paris is a real provocation. This is the lamp that's always shining. When I was there, I was invited to ignite it. Now they do it by hand, but before they do it with a long steel bar. It was not as simple as they do it today. I had the honor of being invited to ignite this flame. He visited the Holocaust Museum, and he will meet with Netanyahu as well as with Mahmoud Abbas from Palestine on Monday. This is a sign of respect, and he's wearing a kippah. We still have the one that we wore when we visited that area. Here, Netanyahu analyzing the situation with the German and French in Jerusalem. He walks to the offices with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Germany. They welcome each other, both of them, and they're expecting for the translation to take place. Janine listening to President Netanyahu.
We admire the position of
We admire the position of the successive French governments and successive French president as well as President Macron for their position against anti-Semitism. Prime Minister Netanyahu met with foreign affairs ministers of France and Germany in Jerusalem. And Netanyahu also stated to KKMS his gratefulness for the contribution of Germany to Israel. Now, the police is questioning Netanyahu for telecom problems. Police cars reach the home of Netanyahu, and Netanyahu visits the weekly meeting. He is being investigated very closely. The police interrogated Netanyahu on Monday, March 26, for his deals with the biggest telecom service company of Israel, Israel Radio, in one of 3 cases of corruption. Three cases that put at risk the political future of Netanyahu. As you can see, the situation is compromised now. And now there are 3 cases. Netanyahu usually stands on his feet, but now the situation is becoming more and more compromised, and he will have to clarify many issues. And now the area for maneuvering becomes smaller. Let us remember that his brother was the hero of a rescue. His father was a patriarch. Well, I cannot see in the monitor of the satellite anything that can improve or update what we are now showing. And shall this be the case, we will show it to you. Now, we're going to a commercial break and we will come back with events in full development. Stay where you are.
A man who inspired a continent.
Era un hombre demasiado humilde, igual que uno, y andaba junto con uno.
A current idea on every corner of his town.
En Chávez está una lectura originalísima de nuestra realidad.
Hugo Chavez, a man with dreams. On Sunday, only on Telesur.
Volvemos con más acontecimientos en
We
pleno
are
desarrollo.
back with events in full development.
Oficial de la Armada Bolivariana,
And now we're going to listen to the Bolivarian Army with its communique for Dossier, with information about the 30th cruise Vela Latinoamericana 2018 of training ship Bravo de Conce.
26 de marzo,
Monday, March 26, 2018, operational activities. The training ship Alfa Bravo Simon Bolivar Bravo Econs, our ambassador without borders, for the fulfillment of the route established for the third training ship for abroad training, Vela Latinoamericanas 2018. It sails from Bonavana for the welcoming event called Regata Vela Latinoamericana 2018, its name in Spanish, to reach Harbor 5 of the cruise harbor of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil on March 25th at 16:25 local time, concluding the second leg of 12 days since Natal to Rio. Institutional visit, protocol visit of the Brigadier General of the Bolivian Army, Manuel Antonio Barroso, military aggregate from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela accredited against the Republic of Brazil. Weather, few nuvolosity conditions, no precipitation expected, wind up to 20 knots, and good visibility. Now, let's talk about the glossary. We're going to use the terms in Spanish. Porta, which is a rectangular hole of a big size on the side to provide light and venting inside of the ship, but also for bringing in food and supplies. Yolimar José Campos Lozada, captain and officer of the guard ship, the director of the Navy, and operational control, as well as Marco Frachella Arandia, captain of the Navy and chief commander of the Bolivian Army. All the best of luck for Ambassador Without Borders. If God may allow and the Virgin of the Navy allows, meet them between Montevideo and Buenos Aires, specifically in the city of Punta del Este. Punta del Este. Well, those of you who have been to Punta del Este know what I'm talking about, even though most of its life takes place in the summer. Now, the time is not the best, but either way, you can enjoy it any time of the year. Now, let's take a look at the event in full development. Today, we have a very interesting day of information, and here we start, showing you something that complements the very interesting agenda in full development. Take a look at this. Pay attention. Official convoy in Beijing. In the midst of reports from Japanese media about the possible secret visit of high people from North Korea. This is in Beijing. This is a convoy in Shanghai Street in Beijing, reaching the people hall Yao Yutai and the guest houses of the highest level. The convoy was seen in Beijing this Monday, around 2020, headed towards the big room of people in the guest house of the state, the ones for the highest charges. The Japanese media stated that a high-rank officer from North Korea apparently reached Beijing by train, although the speculations have not been reported about Kim Jong-un, North Korean leader, visiting Beijing. So this is all a question. A source with links of the Chinese army stated to Reuters that it was not possible to rule out this possibility. Now, this is all in quotes of Kim visiting Peking, but at the same time it was stated that it was not confirmed. Peking and Beijing are the same. Quoting sources, could state that a special train could have transported the president went by the city of Dandong, and the Beijing train office spoke about the possibility of this happening in the train 2 hours away from the city of Beijing. Something is happening here. The police reinforced security throughout the whole of the border. The United States should stop the economic hegemony, as stated by the spokesperson of the Foreign Affairs Ministers of China. What Chunjing stated. Certain people from the United States state that the time for economic surrender was over. This accusation sounds extremely comfortable because it hits the wrong leg. It is better to state the United States should stop their economic hegemony instead of saying that the time of economy and surrendering has stopped. The United States should know that in the 21st century, foreign trade requires rules, not hegemonies. Then what Xunjiang said, China has always fulfilled the rules of the WTO and has safeguarded the multi-level trade that is located in the WTO based on rules that include transparency, non-discrimination, opening, and inclusion. We've always stated that differences, including the economy and trade differences between countries, should be resolved by negotiations and consultations in conformity with the principle of mutual respect, equality, and mutual benefit. In fact, China and the United States have negotiated amongst themselves economic and commercial disputes, and China has the capacity to safeguard their legitimate interests under any circumstance. Now, it is in the hands of the United States court, and we expect for the U.S. to make decisions and rationally select their current state of affairs. Prime Minister of China, meeting with business people. You can see that they can come from all places in the world, delegates for the group picture. Prime Minister of China Li Keqiang met with business leaders globally who arrived to Beijing for the Beijing Development Forum that takes place annually on Monday, March 26. Everyone was asking questions to see if someone could answer any of them. Apple executives as well as IBM executives requested more supervision about how personal data is used after Facebook revealed that the data they had were used by Cambridge Analytica. Facebook was scrutinized by users as well as lawmakers and investors. United States will start to study the possible limitation on steel imports. Listen to this. Defenders of free trade, whenever they deemed it beneficial, now that they have competitors who hurt them in their pocket, speak about limits in import of steel. And how can we digest this? Brussels, Belgium. Well, there's a lot to speak in Brussels about this. And in the meantime, Lee and Tim Cook from Apple are having a very important meeting. Now, let's talk about the European Commission, and the spokesman, Alexander Liechtenstein, gets to the press conference and states,
The safeguard investigation is one of the three
the Commission has started a safeguard investigation about the import of metals in the European Union. The investigation about safeguards is one of the three types of measures the Commission has started based on the restrictions stated from the United States for aluminum and steel. Of course, he is not speaking about the results, and the objective is to research the situation of the market, and, if necessary, this could lead to tariffs for imports or charges that will protect the products of the EU as well as the results required. Daniel Rosario, in the press conference, as well as Liechtenstein, as spokesperson of Rosario. Well, now I think that we are facing a stage where we'll find a way to make these methods work and see how we can take them further, by keeping in mind that the first problem we face is the overcapacity of steel. And if the European Union and the States share the same interest for this, we will take one step at a time. Both parties are in contact, and let's see how we can reach an agreement about the terms for the talks, as well as the high-level meetings that will be followed during the next few days. Protesters against the arrest of Puigdemont in Germany. Protesters against the President of Munsten and Liberty for Catalan people, as well as an independent flag of Catalonia. You can see this flag that states "Long live the Republic and Fritz Puigdemont." You can say this in English, free Puigdemont, so everyone can understand this. This becomes an ever-happening event. Puigdemont, independent leader, with protesters for him in Germany. Roger Journalist states, I think we need to retrieve the dignity that has been taken away from us and meet in this problem that we're facing and look for a solution of this process. This is a problem we're facing in Catalonia. And when we talk about Puigdemont, we hope for the trial to be coherent and will not take away the dignity of Basque Catalanians. This protestor, Deus Oliveres, said, I expect that they will not bring us back to Spain, because whenever I get back there, it would have concluded, because he will spend the rest of his life in jail, and this is unacceptable. This cannot happen. So, it was stated for a court that it will take many days to decide whether Carles Puigdemont will send back to Spain to face charges of rebellion. This is stated even in German. Puigdemont being imprisoned in Germany led to protests in the whole of Catalonia, where hundreds of people were hurt in the struggle against the police. But now the independent movement is weaker than it has ever been. Most of their leaders are behind jails or exiled. Ministry of Justice in Germany awaiting the decision of the trial before speaking about Puigdemont. This is in Berlin. Catherine Barley, Minister of Justice from Germany, states the following. On Sunday, former Catalan President Puigdemont was arrested due to a warrant of the laws of Germany and the European Union. The process is in the hands of the courts and workers in Schleswig-Holstein. We need to wait for the research, investigation, and decision. That's why I request for you to respect my decision and make any comments while this case is developing. Thank you very much. This is the outside of the Superior Court in the city of Schleswig. Here you can see it. Ralph Döper stated, I can tell you that Puigdemont will have a trial today, and the local court, based on where he was detained, will decide today whether a provisional custody can be decided today. Should this be the case, we'll proceed.
Das wird natürlich seine Zeit in Anspruch nehmen.
We will investigate duly what are the orders based on Spain and Europe, and this will take some time. If we decide that extradition should be the case, we'll do so, and its extradition will be decided upon this. This is what it's all about. Puigdemont will be in custody due to obvious reason, and I cannot say where or under which conditions. This is the outside of the regional court. Katharina Barley from Germany did not comment about the custody of Puigdemont and whether Germany and Puigdemont against the court will first make the decision about Spain's request to extradite the Catalonian politician. Based on arrest laws of Germany, the process in the hands of the court on Schleswig-Holstein state. They must expect that revision and decision made by them. Tania Diaz, from the opposition of Venezuela, was defeated in the Interparliamentary Union worldwide. There is a participation of the Venezuelan Court National Assembly that has most congressmen from the opposition. And the information that we have in Venezuela tried to change the events to hide these democratic initiatives for friendly relationship between the peoples that we are now holding. Here, as National Constituent Assembly, we're looking for this purpose, the purpose of opening events for international participation of the constituent people beyond Venezuelan borders. And we are here to clarify against the world, which is fake news, which we deem a file without any type of righteous words. Here in the Constituent Assembly, we're facing an agenda for friendly and solidary relationships between the peoples. We never wanted to be a part of the national delegation because for that we have our spokesperson for the Black Nation who represents the parliament and the force of the revolution in the Venezuelan parliament for the instance of interparliamentary meetings worldwide. However, we wanted to clarify that based on this instance, the congressmen of the right wing of the assembly have attempted to set a motion against the interest of the countries, against the interest of the nation of Venezuela, based on fake news, based on lies, without any type of legal basis. And this is how parliamentary groups work. There's a given group, a Latin American group and Caribbean group. And in the first instance, based on the debate of Latin American First, the right wing of Venezuela tries to create a media effect, and they were defeated for this instance. They were not able, with the delegation of the right wing of Venezuela in the interparliamentary meeting, this motion did not pass from the parliamentary group of Latin America and the Caribbean. It was defeated due to its offensive attitude against other countries, its arrogant attitude, and because the document presented did not have any legal basis. This means that, defeated as it was this motion, they did not have any option to show it in the plenary meeting. This is the truth behind the fact that have taken place in the World Interparliamentary meeting, and inside we have parliamentarians and congressmen inside there. The Assembly has just received document and presented them to the Secretary due to false accusations that parliamentary groups of the opposition want to make over the Constituent Assembly. Here, it is believed that a Constituent Assembly has annulled the function of the National Assembly, that is against the congressman. And in the last session of the meeting, who was the president, Julio Borges, sent a memorandum that he could not leave Venezuela, and that's why he couldn't reach the plenary. However, the plenary meeting, which is the one that we are now in St. Petersburg, Russia, took place the same day of the regional elections, and he was defending his political decisions that take place openly and democratically in Venezuela. That's why today we have two triumphs. One, the defeat against the right wing in the interparliamentary meeting worldwide that did not provide an option because it was against the nation. And it was showed by countries that are not part of the revolutionary process of Venezuela. I'm talking about Argentina, Panama, Dominican Republic, that voted against because they deemed this document an illegal one. And now, the first Constituent Committee internationally that will create a basis for the voice of the people to be listened around the world. Now, this is La Paz, capital of Bolivia. This is the government palace. You can see the band, and this is the International Court in the center of La Paz. Screens show the debate and argument. Bolivians supporting the court of Bolivia. Facts demonstrate this cannot be denied. Armed members and police officers in this square, people with flags, the sea joins us. And that is the flag that shows what they are fighting for. For the indigenous people, for the people of the world, the sea will always be an essential part of our life. The biggest screens allow the square to see this in Bolivia, in Huipala. This is the transmission. It was followed minute by minute. Word by word, this has been followed, and we now go to court for justice to be made. For the case of Bolivians, when you want to be independent, Bolivians, session is over. That was the meeting being developed. That was followed on the big screens in the square of La Paz. For our indigenous peoples, for the peoples of the world, the sea has been and will always be life. For capitalism, the sea is merely business. Our path for the sea has been set by agreements, offerings, and practices carried out diplomatically that become legal actions, acknowledging our right to have a sovereign access to the Pacific Ocean via dialogue and negotiations done in good faith. This represents a diplomatic triumph internationally. And we were trying to add to today's event these happenings that are taking place right now. They're in full development. We are accompanying Evo, our friend, who honors us as an example of what he is, of his verticality and simplicity that shows the rights of his people internationally. And I remember the first time we met, what created a long relationship of mutual respect and friendship. And he said, with his spontaneous way of speaking, Evo knew that I covered some coup d'etats in Bolivia, Garcia Mesa and others, and we almost died there. Well, someday I was asked to clarify this, and the Gator stated, Walter is called Bolivia because we almost killed you and you still love us. And this is now an anecdote. But whenever you have a 9mm gun here and the cameraman another one, well, I was taken out from La Paz Sheraton, the lobby, and we were being kidnapped, and we went to the basement where no one could leave unless that. And this was a real experience. Some people tell me that I'm retarded, but I was requested from La Paz to say this, and I do this in a friendly way. Whatever the case may be, I am proud of being able to show you how the plurinational state of Bolivia continues for their cause. And from here, we wish you the best, and from La Paz as well. in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're closing today's chapter from Studio 3 of Venezuela Televisión, the pioneer channel of Venezuela Televisión. We started in Cerro Marín in Charneca, where we were called TVN5. And we had the only civilian satellite that reached Latin America, which came from Prados del Rey in Spain, and then we use it for these means. That's why we said that this show that aired this direct satellite in the room, we were even rolling our sleeves because it was very hard work. This is a continuity of a long set of efforts that have set us with a lot of satisfaction. Being part of awards have helped us to be what we are today, and God loves us. So whatever you may be on the other side of the monitor, thank you very much for your attention and being with you in your homes. Never forget that the communication should not be sent to Telesur. This is not a Telesur show. This is a show from Venezuela Televisor, which our brother network distributes, and the producer and owner of the phrases and the presentation and the design is yours truly. Why? Not because I want to brag, but because I belong to an almost extinct species, those of the producers who had to use cameras, coordination, direction, and then if we had talent, design, scenography, as well as the takes of the cameras. Whatever the case may be, thank you very much for allowing us to be with you. We'll be back tomorrow, if God allows us, when our beloved, unique, and polluted spacecraft had taken another turn about its imaginary axis, and we can tell you the great big history of the next 24 hours. Director, the floor is yours.